What is going on, guys? Welcome. If you're on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. If you're on Instagram Live, same thing. Thank you very much for joining me. Today I want to work toward, at the end, strengthening the chin up. So we're going to do a lot of monkey hang variations today. We're going to get those, the grip and the overhead position activated to be better successful on the bar for either chin-ups or pull-up, whatever vertical pulling you are doing that day. Okay, we're gonna get into some normal joint mobilizations. I'm gonna work in the hips a little bit just because we are a demographic that always sits a lot. We're a civilization that sits a lot, so we're gonna try to open the hips up a little bit today, but our main focus is going to be opening up those lats and strengthening the overhead pull, okay? So let's get into it. Let's go one stick for the joint mobilizations, and we'll go briefly through the entire system. All right, feet shoulder width, knees are bent, pelvis is tucked, get into that horse stance. Sticks at 12 o'clock, hands are stacked, pushing down 40%, grip, irradiate through from head to toe. Let's go left foot first, high as we can as we lift. Nice and easy, down slow. When you come down, think pushing the heel into the floor like you're squishing the empty soda can. That's gonna help produce more dorsiflexion. So, lift, down slow, push into the floor, lift, hold, let's bring that hand to the hip. Now let's keep that femur still, shift the heel toward your 9 o'clock and shift toward your 3 o'clock. Toward your 9, toward your 3, toward your 9, and toward your 3. And now let's go with a nice and easy counterclockwise circle. 9, 6, 3, 12. And then other way. 3, 6, 9, 12. Lower the heel. Change hands. Whatever hand was on top last time, switch it up. Knees bent, pelvis tucked, abs are braced. Lift, right heel, high as we can. Down slow, push the heel to the floor. Lift, driving that forefoot into the ground. Down slow, maintain that 40%. Make sure we're not hinging forward. We're nice and tall over the hips. Lift and hold. Take the hand to the hip. Shift the heel toward your 3. And then shift toward your 9. Toward your 3. And toward the 9. One more time, toward your 3. Toward your 9. Now clockwise, 3, 6, 9, 12, counterclockwise, 9, 6, 3, 12, lower the heel, let's go both heels, and again, maintain your posture, don't elevate in your height, all right, both heels up, lift, and down, again, both heels up, head stays still, back down slow. Last one, both heels up, hold, shift both heels to your left toward your 9, both heels to your 3. Both heels to your 9, both heels to your 3. One more time, both heels to your 9, both heels to 3. And now let's go one clockwise circle. Once you're at 12 o'clock, switch directions, counterclockwise. And then drop the heels. Now let's go into the pelvis. This is going to be key in strengthening the overhead, especially for the pulls, because the ability to control posterior tuck is how we're going to create tension through that pillar, right? And that's going to help us create power and make that pull much easier. So if we can't control the pelvis, maintaining that posterior tuck and really bracing, right? That posterior tuck is important for bracing. So if we lose that, if we can't maintain that, then we're going to be much weaker overhead and really any other move. So let's work on that. First, inhale on the anterior tilt. Exhale. posterior tuck. Inhale, anterior tilt, exhale, posterior tuck. Inhale, exhale, posterior tuck, long exhale, inhale, and exhale, posterior tuck, flex the abs. Inhale, arch the back. Exhale, posterior tuck, flatten the back. And one more time. Inhale, anterior tilt. And exhale, posterior tuck. A little wider foot position. And now let's go with our bumps. Using the feet, bump to the left. We don't want to shift the weight. We want to keep that pelvis basically right in line with that stick. And we're just going to shift through the ground. Bump to your right. Squeezing the glute, bump to the left. Still maintaining 40% posterior tuck on the pelvis. Bump to the right. Bump left. Bump right. Bump to the left. Bump to the right. Let's go with one clockwise circle. Start in posterior tuck, 12 o'clock. Bump to the right, anterior tilt, bump to the left, then posterior tuck, change hands. Bump to the left, anterior tilt, bump to the right, posterior tuck. Now let's go with the hand in the middle of the stick. Now ideally, for the wrist and elbow articulations, I would prefer a 4 or 5 foot stick, but the 6 foot or 7 foot stick are doable as well. It's a longer lever, so it makes it a little bit more challenging because now the load at the end of that lever is much greater, okay? But again, normally the 4 or 5 foot stick is where you want to be. If we have the arm straight and you feel yourself fatiguing very quickly, then go ahead and try and shorten the lever arm and then bend the arm, okay? But again, you're trying to move the stick with the wrist, okay? So let's go with the right hand first, out in line to your shoulder, retract, deep press the scapula, knees are bent, pelvis is tucked, and now let's go propellers first. So supination and pronation from that wrist and the elbow. Make sure there's no movement out of the humerus, the upper arm, as we work the wrist. The way I like doing this to get more feedback is placing my hand inside of the arm, and I can now really tell if I get some rotation out of the upper arm. So pronate as far as we can, and then we supinate as far as we can. And again, we don't want to either laterally flex or rotate from the upper arm, okay? So we'll do a few more reps of this, as far as we can each way. Nice and slow. Remember, slow is how we learn that motor pattern. As we go faster, we begin to compensate a little bit more. Good, now let's go vertical. And now we're going to cast. So away from that shoulder, and then back to that shoulder, keeping the elbow straight. So no bending in the elbow. And again, if we need to work through a bent arm here, because the lever is much longer and much greater, and you're starting bent, then we work through, okay? There's a big difference between starting straight and then bending the elbow to compensate than there is starting with a bent elbow because the lever is too great, and then I work from there because it, one, adds stability to what I'm doing. All right, so there's a big difference if you have your clients start here and you see them bend, then starting a little bit bent and then just working from that position, okay? So don't get those two confused, right? If we're going through that with another client or with yourself, it's okay to start bent, but make sure that you maintain the movement out of that particular wrist. If I start and that is the result of my compensation, then it's something that I want to address, right? But even in a post-rehab setting, we can start with the elbow here because there's much less stress now in that shoulder. Same thing, right? If we start from here, as long as I start and I maintain the motion out of the wrist and the elbow, and I'm not bending to compensate, all right, we can go from there. So let's continue with the forward casting again. I'll do this one with the arm bent just so I can show you as an example. Out. And I'm still just using that wrist, okay? But it's a much stronger angle for me to work out of. I can still go from here as long as I don't have to bend. Now let's go same casting, but now let's go horizontal. So we're here, wrist is flat, knees bent, pelvis is tucked, shift, and shift. Going to the left, going to the right. The big compensation we'll see here is the hand will stray away from that shoulder. So a few more reps. Vertical, and now let's do the pop. Let's go 5 each direction. Sorry, I was getting a call. So, wrist is going to be now vertical, starting pronation and supination. Again, the upper arm is going to stay nice and still. Pronate, supinate. Pronate, supinate. Pronate, supinate. One more time. Pronate, supinate. Good. Vertical, and now we cast away. Shoulder stays down, don't shrug. You'll see that as another compensation. Another compensation for being fatigued is you're going to see that elevation, keeping the shoulder down. Elbow stay straight. Horizontal, side to side. Keeping that wrist flat. Staying in line to shoulder. Vertical. 5, clockwise. 5, counterclockwise. So, after we're done, since we're we're getting ready into our chin up or overhead pulling for the pendulums today, I want to change it up from the diagonal to the frontal plane. So getting more vertical, okay? So what I want to do is grab the right hand to the center of the stick, and then the left hand will go at the end of the stick, and then try and get all the 4 digits, and excluding the thumb, okay? 4 fingers on the end of the stick. All right, so knees are bent, pelvis is tucked. Maintain that connection here. Think the hips and the ribs are compressing the abs. That's what I want you to feel. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna lift up, get to the end range, and you should feel top arm reflexively pushing down. And then come back down. So we're pushing in both sides for 40%. And then again, right hand's gonna win, left hand is coming up. If doing the opposite, it's just the same thing but on the other side. And then back down slow. Good. Bottom arm can bend on this a little bit. Bring it up. You're pushing the bottom hand up, but the top hand is gonna push down as well. And back down. One more, same thing. Keep the top arm straight though. So the arm that's raising, you want to keep it straight, and you're packing and depressing that shoulder blade. Good. Switch. Left hand to center, right hand to the end. Push and lift. Packing that top hand down, and then that hand's gonna win. Lift. Down. 2 more. Lift. Ribs and hips connected. Last one. Pack that shoulder down. Good. And ease off. Hands a little wider than shoulder width. All 10 fingers gripping, pull apart. Again, the ribs and the hips are connected here. Nice and easy. Get to where you feel a nice deep stretch. Bring it back overhead, push in when you see it. Pull apart. Keep the ears in line with those shoulders. Ribs and the hips are connected. No arch in the lower back. When you see it, push in. Good. One more, dislocate. Start challenging it, bring the hands closer together. Remember, if it's easy, it's not going to make any real long-lasting changes that benefit you. You want this to be challenging. When we see it, push in. Good. Let's go into the long stick. Let's get into that right knee down first. We're just going to start lengthening our lateral line with that half kneeling monkey hang first. Right knee down. Bring the stick even to that knee, and then out to the side about a foot. So we always cue stick angles down toward us, right? This is the exception to that rule. We want the stick to be angled away so that the stick is on top of the head. Let's reach up. And I want to pack the shoulders. I want to pull down to the floor from here. This right hip is just going to sink toward the stick. So I should feel some nice QL, TFL, lat stretch as I go down. Right? If you need to, reach across and use this hand for some better balance and more stability. So I'm going to just sink those hips down. If you're holding on to that stick, keep holding. If you're not holding on to it, let's take the other hand and I want you to reach diagonally toward the ground. You should feel a bigger stretch through all that lateral tissue. All right, let's ease off. Let's turn the stick because we do bend it a little bit. And again, let's sink the hip down, reach diagonally. As you reach, you should feel the top arm reflexively pull back. Back up. One more of these, then we'll change sides. Just the beginning of our monkey hang series. Reach. Oh, first let's lean. Good. And now let's reach. Make sure you control that breathing. Notice how when I'm talking, even though I'm in that stretch pretty deep, controlling my breath, I'm able to speak clear. That's a key indicator in if you own a position. Okay? If you can't breathe in a position, then we don't own it. If you can have a conversation while in a stretch or a position, you have full ownership in it. Okay? If it's very stressful, very challenging for you to talk, then it's probably a position that you don't want to be in too long. Even to the knee, about 12 inches, and then reach. And then that left hip now, we're gonna sink down toward the stick, reach diagonally across with that right hand. And again, nice deep breaths, trying to get as much length and the whole lateral line as we can, and then come back up. Change, rotate the stick. And again, hip toward the stick. If you need to, use other hand for stability. Reach. And back up. Last one. Again, incorporating that reach. All right, here we go. Sinking that hip toward the stick. And then other hand, right hand's gonna reach across diagonal. Nice. Now let's go into our next monkey hang. And just because I want to get some stimulus to our hips, we're gonna get into our 90-90 monkey hang. So we're gonna do the 90-90 monkey hang first, then we're gonna get into our tall kneeling monkey hang series to get us ready for overhead packing of the scap, and then we'll stand up and we'll get into our isometric loading in the chin-ups. All right, so let's get our right leg externally rotated first and the left leg internally rotated first. And I want that to stick right next to that right hip, about 6 inches away. And then we're gonna reach up here and pat the shoulder. Make sure the knee is in line to the hip here, ankle is in line to this knee is in line to this hip, that foot is underneath, or the ankle underneath this back knee. We're gonna push into the floor, that's gonna help us with our posture. And I'm just gonna think about ribs and hips connecting here as well. I'm taking that back leg and I'm just gonna push it about 40 to 50% into the ground, as well as that front leg pushing down 40 to 50%. This hand I wanna keep even to my ear, the bicep. I don't wanna go forward. I wanna work on also getting that pec to open up here as well. Nice deep breaths here. Remember, trying to own that position. If we can't breathe with control, we don't own it. A good thing here to do is elevate this front hip, this front glute, and that'll take you a little bit out of that internal rotation in the back. So if you have somebody who cramps just being in 90-90, elevate them up a little bit higher so they can sit here and be comfortable. Okay, let's ease off. Let's change sides. And again, we're just trying to get the nervous system ready to produce some force with the hands overhead and some vertical pulling. And then after we do this class, almost to my face there, saw that? With the stick, spatial awareness mix. Reach. And I was saying, after we do this class, if you want to go work on some chin-ups to see if it's helped out a little bit, right? Definitely recommend it. So hand even to the ear and bicep are in line. We're gonna push. And again, this is gonna help us just to maintain our posture. So this is also good if we're doing 90-90 training, strength training in our workout. This can really help to prime and get the nervous system ready to start producing some force in that 90-90. Again, we're at 40 to 50% effort, and that goes for this arm too, pushing into the floor. All right, let's ease off. Let's grab the second long stick. So now we're going to start to build our way up to the chin up. Starting from the dead hang position, we're going to go into tall kneeling. Then we'll stand up and do our progressive isometric patterning, our PIPs. And then we just strengthened the lats. We'll have to work on switching them as well. So we're going to do some snake reach and then some lateral bow and arrow after. So both knees are down. Let's go hip width. The stick's going to be now even to the knees. Toes are active, so you can't tell, right? But you see here, I want an active foot, not a flat foot. We want active feet, and then what I want is to have the feet in line to the knees. Reaching up here, and there is a point where you reach up too high, and that is where you can't compress the rib cage anymore, right? So if we reach too high, and that brings us into a naturally reflexive extension. What I mean by that is if I reach too high, there's no other way for my back to go but an extension, right? I want to bring the hands down a little bit so I can reach up. My arms are fully lengthened, but I can compress the ribs and those hips together. That's what I want to be. Okay, so we're in that position, knees bent. We're in tall kneeling. Posterior tuck, rib cage down, flexing the abs as tightly as I can. Let's work this one at 60%. Ready? Grip. Pack those shoulders and drive those sticks into the floor like you're trying to lift yourself off the ground. Hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Again, when I pack and pull, my thought process is lift my knees off the ground, lift my body off the ground. That's the initial part of the overhead pull. All right, so let's do this again. Set number 2. Grip, let's go 70%. Pack, ribs and hips connected, and now push into the floor. Pull yourself up, okay? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease off. What we're really trying to do is create as much tension and irradiate as much tissue as we can in that pillar. So the pillar being the shoulders, all the core musculature, and the hips. That's why I want that posterior tuck, squeeze the butt, packing those shoulders down, getting the tension closer to your midline, right through your trunk. Remember, proximal stability enhances distal mobility. We want to build tension here to make our chin-ups stronger. Right, last one, 80%. Squeeze glutes, posterior tuck, rib cage down, compress those sticks and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Let's bring it to the feet. Feet are a little wider than shoulder width. Bring those sticks inside of the arches of the feet. Take the hands so the elbows are bent to 90 degrees. Now I want the knees outside of the stick. I want that posterior tuck. Now we're going to grip. Let's go at 60%. From here, we're going to drive the elbows down toward your ASIS, okay? And now let's compress and hold 60%. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Let's lower those hands just a little bit to mimic that pulling motion when the hands come closer and the chin gets over the bar. Grip, 70%. Pack. Pull the elbows down into your pockets. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease off. We should really feel those abs working if we're getting into that posterior tuck and compressing the rib cage the right way, bringing those ribs and the hips together. If we're doing that properly, we should feel the abs really contract and compress. Let's bring it down just a little bit more, okay? 80% grip, and now pull those elbows down to the floor. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and ease off. So palms facing us, that is our chin up. Now let's get into our pull up, so palms face away. Same thing, but I'm gonna start on top. All right, now if the stick's too high, if I have a 7-foot stick here, I definitely wouldn't be going over here. So if you have a longer stick and you can't reach the top with the arms at about 90 degrees, then you're just gonna hold here like you did, but palms are gonna face away, same thing. Knees bent, pelvis is tucked. Now from here, I grip, I push down, ribs and hips connected, 60%, working on the pull up now. And go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Bring it a little bit lower. Again, we're mimicking that overhead pulling motion. Knees bent, pelvis tucked, the knees outside of the stick. I want to compress a little bit. That's going to help me again create more tension in that pillar. So palms facing away, we do that pull up, grip, and now pull. Down, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease off. A tiny bit lower. And then we'll get into our stretches. 80% grip, and now pull. Drive the elbows down, drive the elbows down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease off. So after we do this class, or after that on this class, if you're watching this on YouTube or on live later on, after we do that sequence, go to a chin bar and think same thing. Posterior tuck, ribs, hips connected, pillar strength. Create stability in that midsection, and then you're driving those elbows down toward the pockets, right? And see, that makes your chin up a little better. So now let's get into the floor, half kneeling. Let's go into our snake reach. So now let's open up those lats again. Right leg down, left leg forward, outside of the mid-thigh. Thumb goes down, hand over top. Other hand threads through, bring it around so the stick should be behind the shoulder. Push down with that bottom hand, bring the hand on the outside of the stick, and now walk that hand up. Let's hold here. I'm gonna hold for 30 seconds. I want you to diaphragmatic breathe. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. And then exhale. 10 more seconds. 4, 3, 2. Walk the hand down first. Never come right out of that stretch from the end range. Change sides. Outside midfoot. Thumb is down over top. Around in the front. Hand on the outside. And then walk up as high as we can. And again, 30-second hold. Ten more seconds. We're also going to add in one more lat stretch. So we'll finish our snake reach here in 3, 2, 1. Walk that hand down nice and slow. Let's stand up. So our next one, we're going to go almost into our setup for a tricep stretch. So go thumb and index finger. Thumb is down. And now bring it around the head. And I want you to bring it across the body. So if you see, I'm on a diagonal. I'm going to hold a little bit higher on this hand, because when I hold higher and I pull down, that's going to initiate more of the stretch. If I hold lower, I only have so much that I can pull. So I'm going to hold the hand a little bit higher to start, so I can pull down and then get a little bit more tension into that back arm. From here, I'm going to just bring the stick across my body, and now I'm going to push that hand to the floor. So that is going to get a little bit more of that lat stretch in there. And if you can, reach the ground there. And just hang out here for a little bit. Almost like a lateral bow and arrow stretch. Let's bring it back up, let's switch sides. So again, thumb down, go thumb and index, then grip. Bring it around, across the body. Come across. You're pulling that hand down. Ease out of it. And now let's go into that lateral bow and arrow. Feet hip width. Stick even to your midfoot. Let's stagger the stance here a little bit. So back foot, or the inside foot, is back. Heel down. Now, when we hold the stagger stance, the orientation of the stick changes. Instead of having it even to your midfoot and stepping back and the stick being in front of you, we need to now bring the stick even to your hip. So from the side, I'll show you what I mean. Traditional bow and arrow, we're here, the stick even to your midfoot. But if I step back, if you see now the orientation of the stick is in front of me, we need to bring it even to our hip. Now, the same setup here, I push the hip away, and then I extend. So even, push the hip away, and then we extend. Ease off, switch sides. Remember, it's never about how much can I bend the stick. It's always about how much can I get away from the stick. How much can my hip separate from the stick. Thumb down on top, thumb up and bottom. Hip to the side first, and extend. Off. So that concludes today's class. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. So again, if you are doing some overhead pulling, get this class in there before. It might help you create some strength overhead and allow you to be a little more comfortable. Okay. Again, subscribe for the YouTube page. We're always putting content up there. Subscribe or check out the website as well. And then of course, check out my page, Jared_DYEM. And again, stay tuned for the 2021 certification schedule. Right, guys? Peace. I'll see you next week.